Okay, my name is Shane Carver, and I'm presenting to you my famous geographer, Alfred Russel Wallace. Alfred Wallace was born on January 8th, 1823, in the small town of Llanbadach, found in Wales. When Wallace became of age, he and his brother John moved to London, where he studied at the London Mechanics' Institute. After his studies, Wallace was hired as a master at the collegiate school in Leicester to teach drawing, mapmaking, and surveying. In 1839, Wallace moved back to Wales and performed land surveying work in the countryside. While performing his land surveys, Wallace spent a majority of his time outdoors where he found his passion. 1848, Wallace and his partner Henry Bates left for Brazil with the intentions of collecting insects and other animals specimens in the Amazon rainforest. In 1852, Wallace was to return to England with his specimens and the stories of the people, but his ship sank 23 days later while en route. Unfortunately, Wallace was not able to salvage any of his findings, and all was lost. After returning to England, Wallace was not going to give up that easily. 1854, Wallace set out for the East Indies, now today Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. During his time in the Malay archipelago, Wallace and his team were able to collect more than 126,000 different specimens, over several thousand of them never before seen by man. In 1869, Wallace published a journal named The Malay Archipelago, which became one of the most popular books of scientific exploration of the 19th century and has never been out of print. After his time spent in the Malay Archipelago, Wallace was convinced that the theory of evolution was true. After a short time, Wallace managed to get in contact with Charles Darwin. They exchanged letters and academic papers that were soon to become the outline for Darwin's infamous Origin of Species. In 1872, Wallace was urged by his colleagues to begin research for a general review of the geographic distribution of animals on the globe. In just 2 years, Wallace was able to create a system classification that divided the Earth into 6 separate geographic regions for describing species distribution. Little did he know, Wallace created the basis for the zoogeographic regions that are still in use today. He provided maps that displayed factors such as elevation of mountains, depths of the oceans, and the character of regional vegetation that affected the distribution of various animals around the globe. The result of his work was published in the form of a book named The Geographic Distribution of Animals in 1876. Now you may ask why this is important. Wallace's contributions to geography and biogeography are some of the most groundbreaking discoveries at his time. He innovated the uses of spatial reasoning and methods that directly complemented fundamental models of process, and he provided the basis for all of biogeography, some of which are still in use today. Wallace died on November 7th, 1913, in his country home named Old Orchard, at the ripe old age of 90. After his death, the New York Times stated that he was the last of the giants belonging to that wonderful group of intellectuals that included, among others, Darwin, Huxley, Spencer, Lyell, and Owen, whose daring investigations revolutionized and evolutionized the thought of the century.